Deja vu all over again.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this village board meeting to order on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, and ask you if you would all please rise, those who have not already risen, and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Shirley?
Here.
Trustee Lebeds?
Here.
Trustee Grassi?
Here.
Trustee Baldino? Trustee Schwingbeck?
Here.
Trustee Dunnington?
Here.
Trustee Tenalia?
Here.
Trustee Bertucci?
Here.
President Hayes?
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and we just have one set to approve tonight. That's from our village board meeting minutes on January 6, 2025. Any changes or passed?
Pass, please, Mayor.
Passed by trustee Grassi. Anybody else? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I would move that we approve the minutes from the January 6, 2025 meeting.
Second.
Motion by trustee Schwingbeck, seconded by trustee Lebeds. Any further questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have the approval of the accounts payable, and I call on trustee Bertucci.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move approval of the warrant register for the check date January 15th, 2025, in the amount of $3,050,977.24.
Second.
Motion by trustee Bertucci, seconded by trustee Lebeds. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lebeds?
Yes.
Trustee Tenalia?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Grassi?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. Well, it's appropriate at this time, having just approved our financial warrant register, and before we begin some recognitions and communications, to do a recognition of our esteemed retiring finance director, Tom Keeney. This is Tom Keeney's last village board meeting here in the village of Arlington Heights after more than 21 years with us. Tom has contributed so much to our community in so many different ways, but primarily in keeping us on the straight and narrow in terms of our financial condition. And so there's a lot of people that are responsible for our financial strength that we are so happy to enjoy here in our community. But there's probably no one more directly responsible than Tom Keeney for the past 21 years. And so, Tom, we can't thank you enough for your contributions to us. You know, they told me when I first ran for village board that there would be no numbers involved. And so, unfortunately, that was not the case. And so I very much rely on your expertise over the past 21 plus years to keep me in the know in terms of what's happening financially, and really watching out for not just us on the village board, but all of the people sitting out here, all of our residents, and making sure that their money is spent wisely. And again, there's no one who's contributed more to us doing that than you. And so we can't thank you enough for your contributions. I do have we don't have anything of monetary value to give you, but I think it's appropriate to give you a village coin because you are the one who looked out for village coins for so many years. And so, Tom, I don't know if you've received one of these coins, village City of Good Neighbor coins before, but I do want to present you with one of these village coins. So, Tom, if you come up in front, please. Village manager say a few words?
No, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to congratulate Tom as retirement as well. Tom's one of those unique people that has both a deep technical knowledge of a subject and the ability to explain it well to the average person. His knowledge comes from his hard work, his intelligence, his experience, and his ability to explain things comes from the fact that he's one of the most genuine, down-to-earth people you'll ever meet. When he's happy about something, you'll know it. When he's upset about something, you'll also know it. But this community's benefited from his leadership during a number of fiscal crises and challenges over the years, and he's always found unique and creative ways for us to get by without sacrificing integrity or transparency. He makes that look easy, but I can tell you it is not. There's a reason Tom has served in leadership positions in organizations like the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, IGFOA, and even his favorite, the Metropolis Condo Board Association. And it's because he's great at keeping and earning people's trust. And that trust and his leadership are two of the reasons why the community has had the confidence in our team to manage the community's finances over the last 20 years. His loss is really going to be a tough one for the place and for me personally, but he's built such a great team here to support him and his successor, so I'm confident we'll be able to move forward. But we all wish him well in his well-earned retirement.
Former village manager Bill Dixon. There he is, Bill. Come forward.
Mayor Hayes, board members, it's a delight to be here on such a happy occasion. I think Randy said it very well. He had the last 10 years with Tom. I had the first 11. We're both better for it. Tom was hired when Judy Gorel, our then finance director, retired. We recruited him from Addison. It was an easy sell. He lived in the area. He liked Arlington Heights. I think he was ready professionally to make a move. The people in Addison were very gracious. They were not happy to see him go, but they were very candid with us about how good he was. We had checked some other sources and heard the same thing. He left on such good terms there that they invited him back for their golf tournaments. He has, just as Randy said, kind of an unflappable, calm demeanor. Whenever he came with problems, he also came with solutions. The things he's had his hands on, this campus, the public works upgrade, funding for Emerald Ash Borer, and the refunding of bond issues that have saved this community millions of dollars. And when I say this community, that includes, the residents, the businesses, let alone the village government. He will be sorely missed. We are so fortunate as a community to have had him these 21 years. Tom and I went through the Great Recession, as did the board members and the whole staff and the whole community. And we lost probably 20 positions. Some of those were through attrition. Some of them were people were let go, and it was very hard. But Tom had a steady hand throughout, gave all of us good advice. I think he was trusted by everybody on the staff. I think the boards, plural, over the years have trusted him and felt comfortable with his advice. And I know Randy and I have as well. So I wish Christine and Tom the very best, and we'll miss you, but we're happy for you. Thanks.
Well, Mr. Dixon raised one historical note. When we were going through the Great Recession, we had our record-long board meeting. I think we went to 1:30 when we were wrestling over some of these positions. And so hopefully we won't set a new record tonight. So we'll hold you to that. So Tom, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. First of all, this has been a dream job for me, and I thank Bill Dixon, for hiring me 21 years ago. I had always targeted Arlington Heights when I was coming up through the ranks as a place I'd like to be. I was fortunate enough to be hired by Bill and to apply my trade here, so I'm very thankful for that.
Tom, speak in the mic.
Okay, and then Randy, I want to thank you too. It's been a joy working for you. You worked on what Bill had put together here, and you challenged all the departments to do even better through technology, through changing practices and the like. And we all, we're better for it as a team. And, with the team, I mean the department heads and all of the village employees. It's, Arlington Heights is a destination place that people want to get to. This keeps going out. And it's just been my honor to work with all the employees of the village. You've been so great. The finance staff has been awesome here. They made me enjoy coming in every single day. And then last but not least, I want to thank you, Mayor Hayes, and the board. The jobs that all of you do is simply amazing. People see what you do here at these meetings, but there is so much more that goes on. And as a resident and an employee of this village, I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for the guidance that you've given us all these years. So with that, I do want to recognize two people that are here. My wife Christine and my mother, who's back there. If you guys just wave.
But Chevy. Well, don't forget your phone. Now we move into very special recognition. I'll stay for these guys. And so with that, I would like to just ask you to please enjoy this very short introductory video. Let's give them a round of applause. We are here tonight to recognize the John Hersey High School boys soccer team as the 2024 IHSA Class 3A state champions. I want to call their head coach, Mr. Michael Rusniak, up with us. Coach? Okay. I'm just going to read this proclamation first, Coach. This is a Village of Arlington Heights proclamation recognizing the John Hersey High School boys soccer team as 2024 IHSA Class 3A state champions. Whereas on Saturday, November 9, 2024 at Hoffman Estates High School, the Hersey High School boys soccer team defeated Lane Tech on penalty kicks to win the 2024 IHSA Class 3A state championship. And whereas during the course of their outstanding fall season, the Husky team was also crowned Cardinal Cup champions, MSL East Division champion, MSL Conference champions, regional champions, sectional champions, and super sectional champions. And whereas in addition to making history by securing Hersey's first ever state soccer championship, this remarkable team, led by a driven group of seniors, also set new school records for the most shutouts in a season at 13 and the most wins in a season at 19. And whereas captains Adrian Smakowski and Ray Reyes earned prestigious all-state honors, and while Nate Mabry and Casper Lekowitz were recognized with all sectional honors as well. Above all, this team embodied the true spirit of unity, supporting one another and demonstrating what it truly means to play as a cohesive unit. Whereas head coach Michael Rusniak and his assistant coaches cultivated a winning culture centered around hard work, discipline, and teamwork that was integral to player development and team success, and which reflects great credit on their school and their community. Now, therefore, I, Thomas W. Hayes, Mayor of the Village of Arlington Heights, along with the Arlington Heights Village Board of Trustees, do hereby congratulate the student athletes, coaches, and supporters who made this remarkable achievement possible, and wish all those associated with the Hersey Husky soccer program nothing but the best in their future endeavors. Congratulations, Coach. One picture. Get a picture. Now, Coach, if you don't know if you need that help, but we'd like to call the individuals, team members, and coaches up individually.
All right, starting with Jimmy Katsaros. Adrian Spakowski.
Me?
Ian Burke. Nick Vandemark. Johnny Antonio. Malcolm Lindelof. Diego Ortiz.
Here.
Dana Matursik. Adam Bugaj. Check Bryant. Larry Kishek. Assistant coaches,
Congratulations.
Coach Joe Russo and Coach Brad Abel.
Congratulations, Coach. Well done. Well done, Coach. Right, Coach, if you would just say a few words about the team.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes, Board, for recognizing us today. This is a really, really special group. They've heard me talk about them multiple times, and you could see anytime that they get recognized, they come and they're super excited. This has been kind of a really nice victory lap, and appreciate working with this team so much, especially after working with my son's 8th grade basketball team, or 8-year-old basketball team, which is a completely different animal, where this group, I realize why I never was a grade school coach of any kind, because tremendously talented, but also incredibly great people on and off the field. And I think that's what made this this run towards state so much special, because just being around them, they radiate so much positivity. They radiate what it is to be on a team. They radiate what it means to be a part of a community. So I couldn't be more proud of them. I'm sure they're going to ask me when the next recognition is, so I'm not sure.
You got to win another championship.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well,
All right,
thank you
do
very
we
much.
have representatives of the
Yes.
team that want to speak?
Captain Ray Reyes.
Yeah, so we started off the season a little slow, but it was a good wake-up call, and luckily we all stepped up our game and came together as a team, and we really just became friends off the pitch as well, and I feel like that helped us win, and I just want to say thank you for the recognition. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Adrian. He's actually our public speaker, so
Okay.
I have to give him another opportunity to talk.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. I mean, this is about the more times I could count on my hand, times we got recognized for this amazing run we had in state. I'm super excited. I'm grateful for having this opportunity, for having these coaches to lead us, having the captains around me, with me, this team. It was an amazing experience, and I'm just so grateful it happened. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I just have one question, and that is who invented this inbound pass? And I saw at the beginning of this video. Do you know what I'm talking about? I've never seen that before. Is that something that somebody invented or on the team?
He didn't invent it, but he perfected it. So
Well, that was outstanding.
yeah,
So who did it? Is he here?
he's actually not here, but we have another gentleman that can do it as well. So
Okay, tell me what that's all about. That inbound pass.
It's kind of just like a flip. It's like a front flip, but use like momentum of the ball to just throw it farther, I guess. And I mean, it just kind of gives us leverage, because I mean, if the goalie hits it into the goal, I mean, it counts. So
Does any other team do it?
not that we've
I've
seen.
never seen it before. You should watch the video. Okay. Well, let's take a picture of everybody. Can we squeeze in?
Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good, thank you.
All right, congratulations again. You get to take. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, good luck to you guys. Go get them. Get them next year. Thanks a lot, Coach. Coach. Okay, Tom. Well deserved.
I love this kind of stuff. I think this is so nice to see and do. I wish we had more. We deal with so many not so fun things. To have this is just great. Isn't that fun?
Okay, while they're filing out, we'll just move on in the agenda. And the next item is our citizens to be heard. And we do have one blue card from an individual wishing to address the board on items not on the agenda. And that's Art Ellingson. And Art, you're just reminded of the 3-minute time limit.
Good evening, everyone. And I don't think this maybe it is working if I get close to it. My name is Art Ellingson. I usually address this board on behalf of the Arlington Heights Tea Party. T, of course, stands for Taxed Enough Already. It does not mean Lipton, but it is sort of a throwback to the Boston Tea Party of 1773. But today I've got my Vietnam Veterans of America hat on because in Des Plaines, the Vietnam Veterans of America are erecting an Agent Orange memorial. And I'd like to come here and ask you guys if you'd like to support the Agent Orange Memorial being erected in Des Plaines. The reason I'm addressing Arlington Heights is because of the membership of about 110 members, the most common suburb we live in, even though we meet at the Des Plaines American Legion Hall, the most common address of our members is here in Arlington Heights of our chapter. So if you have your checkbooks handy, you can write a check to the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 311. I happen to be the treasurer of that group. I will gladly take your donations, either from the village treasury or individual checkbooks. I will take cash. I will take credit cards. I will take debit cards. We're trying to raise money for a monument about Agent Orange. Now, those of you who read the Daily Herald, how many read the Daily Herald? Let me ask you, how many read the Daily Herald?
Art, you got to direct your comments to me.
I was just looking behind to see how many people raised their hands.
Right.
But I became the most famous Vietnam veteran the last March 29th of 2 years ago when my picture was on the front page of the Daily Herald, talking about the real end of the Vietnam War, which happened in May of 1975 with the Mayaguez incident. But in any event, if anyone would like to contribute, you can address if you don't bring your checkbook with you tonight, you can mail a check to Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 311. You can mail it to Post Office Box 2 right here in Arlington Heights, 60006-0002, or you can give me cash checks. I've got a credit card gadget in my pocket, so we can take money tonight or after the meeting. But I'm just encouraging you to help contribute to build this memorial to the guys who suffered greatly due to this chemical that hurt so many of our Army guys primarily and Marines primarily. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Art, and thank you for your service to our country. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll close the citizens to be heard portion of our agenda and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Trustee Grassi.
Letter G, please.
All right, item G, the resolution approving balancing change order number 2 for the 2023 downtown brick sidewalk replacement, Wing Street, will be removed. Anyone else on the board? Anyone in the audience wish to request an item be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll come back to the board. Are there any members of the board who wish to vote no or pass on any remaining items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the remaining items.
I move that we approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by trustee Lebed, seconded by trustee Schwingbeck. Any other questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Labette?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes?
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Grassi?
Yes.
Trustee Tenalia?
Yes.
Trustee Bunnington?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. We do have a couple of items that were approved on the consent agenda. One of them was the request for a liquor license for Nico Sushi, a sushi restaurant located at 282 East Algonquin Road. That has now been approved, and so Mr. Su, if you're here, your item has been approved and no need for you to stay. And the other item I wanted to make note of was the appointment of Kristen Schertz to the Plan Commission here in the Village of Arlington Heights for a term ending April 30th, 2027. And to make that official, we need to swear her in. So Chris, if you come forward to the podium. And you've done this before, so I know it's going to go well. If you raise your right hand and repeat after me, I, and state your full name.
I, Kristen Schertz,
Having been appointed to the Plan Commission
having been appointed to the Planning Commission
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, Chris. I'm going to give you another village logo pin to wear. This is maybe a little bit different one. And then if you please sign your oath with the clerk. So congratulations. We'll take up the removed item at the end of the agenda. If you just remind me, I'd appreciate that. And so let's go ahead and move on to the new business item, which most everyone is here for this evening. That's the Full Circle Development to be located on South Arlington Heights Road. And as all of you are aware, this item has been before us on a number of occasions. This is the third full village board meeting that we are considering this item. And so we're hoping to be able to limit the discussion here this evening to items that are new, that we haven't discussed before. And we very much appreciate if your comments would be directed to what we are hearing new this evening. And I would ask the board members to do that as well. So we appreciate your consideration of that and your courtesy to all who are in attendance here this evening. So with that, is the petitioner present? Come forward if you would, and just introduce yourself again.
Hello.
And tell us how we got here this evening and where we're at tonight.
Okay, great. Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, my name is Denise Reyes. Thank you so much for having us again. We're returning, as you mentioned, to present our design changes for the two-story for Grace Terrace here in Arlington Heights. And our presentation is going to largely focus on those design changes. But to start, I wanted to highlight what hasn't changed, which is that this building is still 25 units of permanent supportive housing for persons with disabilities, with a preference for veterans with disabilities. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I think did I skip one? There it is, okay. Okay, so this is our site plan. This is the new footprint for the two-story design, and it shows the changes that we've made. We've elongated the building to the north so that we can maintain the location and the size of the detention pond. And we also decided against designing for an L-shaped building so that we can minimize the setbacks, specifically the distance between the building and the rear neighbors to the east, addressing privacy concerns and feedback that we've received from them. So as you can see here, the building is facing Arlington Heights Road. That's what we've maintained. We are still doing an extensive landscape buffer for the privacy of the neighbors and our residents. The landscape buffer ranges between 68 feet and 104 feet from the building to the rear property line. We're keeping existing trees wherever possible, but also planting about 100 new trees across the site. There'll be a 6-foot privacy fence along the perimeter of the property, lined with evergreen trees that are going to be a minimum of 8 feet tall at the time of planting. And on the south end of the site is the stormwater retention area, which will be dry bottom, meaning that it will not have any sitting water. We are also going to have 51 parking spaces, 8 of which will be handicap accessible, and the driveway will have a connecting passway through to the property to the north, and potentially can be extended to the east if Emerson were to have a pass-through as well. This is the elevations for the 2-story. Here you have a better view of how we carried the design from the 3-story to the 2-story. Proportionately, it has more brick, and we feel that it fits better with the aesthetics of the area. The west elevation is facing Arlington Heights Road, and as I mentioned, we've elongated the building, but we also added a bump out in the middle of the facade around the front area, just to so that it isn't like a long, flat building, and it makes it a little bit more interesting. And you'll see that in the next slide. You'll get a better view from the rendering. The height of the building, as you can see here, is 25 feet 11 inches, which is lower than the height of a new construction single-family home per the code of Arlington Heights, which is 30 feet. And the east elevation is the back of the building, which faces the east and goes out to the patio, to the garden beds. But then we've also have on the roof a screen wall that covers the HVAC systems and also has material to reduce the sound of those mechanicals. Too far. Here's an elevation of the northwest side of the building. This is a good view demonstrating the broken out facade designed to make the building a little bit more interesting. You can see here that proportionally it has more brick, and we think that this blends in a lot better with the community, including with the height. Some of the trees here are transparent on the rendering so that you can see the building a little bit better, but there are existing trees there, and we will be planting also new trees that will help obscure the building and the parking from the road. This is a southeast rendering of the back of the building, and you can see here, this is basically standing right in front of where the detention pond would be facing the building. It shows the extensive landscape buffer, the distance between the building and the east property line. And this is the building view from the neighbors to the east, mostly obscured. This is an approximation of existing trees, but the building height being lowered makes it much less noticeable. And we'll be, again, putting in new landscaping so that will help to obscure the building as well. So just to summarize, we are here responding to village feedback. What we've addressed is going from 3 stories to 2 stories by elongating the building. We've reduced the height to 25 feet at the midpoint, which is lower than what code requires for a new construction 2-story building. What we've maintained are the number of units and the property type. The west elevation, west orientation of the building and the parking lot facing Arlington Heights Road. We're keeping the parking lot to the west to reduce the noise and disruption from the neighbors, reducing lights and any activity to the front of the building, and we're minimizing the distance to the east neighbors by providing the robust landscape buffer, adding mature trees and new landscaping that will obscure sightlines between the building and the neighbors. And I'd like to take a moment to thank you for giving us this feedback. We've worked really hard this past year. We've been here multiple times, as you've mentioned, Mayor, responding to the feedback of the community while still providing necessary features and amenities for our residents. We hope that our efforts show that we intend to be good neighbors here in Arlington Heights, and we're excited to move this project forward. And thank you for your guidance, and we also thank all of our supporters for their support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. All right, turn to the staff now, and first go to our village manager, Randy Recklouse.
Thank you, Mayor. As has been stated, this development's been discussed thoroughly at a number of public meetings, but I did also want to stress that it's been discussed in a lot of individual meetings. I know members of the staff, as well as members of the board, have met individually with or in groups with a number of the neighborhood members, folks that live in the neighborhood, as well as with the petitioner over the last couple of years. And in August, for those of you that weren't watching, for folks at home, the village board discussed a number of aspects of the project, including safety, staffing, maintenance, tenant eligibility, zoning, compatibility, the business model, as well as landscaping and access. And none of those issues have changed from what we're going to be discussing tonight. And the village board did indicate support for the overall concept of development at the August 19th meeting. However, based on input from the public on building height, the board did direct staff to work with the petitioner on the development of two-story concept. We've done that, as has the design commission. And tonight, we're not looking to revisit all aspects of the projects in the staff's presentation, as that issue was so thoroughly covered in August, and the board has already indicated support for the general concept. Tonight, we're going to be focusing solely on the new concept developed and refined at the board's discretion. Direction. However, if the board approves the concept tonight, as well as the four motions before you, this would be the final board action on this matter. I wanted to clarify those points for everyone tonight before we jumped into this, but with that, I'm going to turn things over to our Director of Planning and Community Development, Emily Rodman.
Good evening. As you know, we're here this evening to consider Full Circle Communities' proposal for the property located at 1519 to 1625 South Arlington Heights Road. It is property that's currently zoned OT, which is our office transitional zoning district. The comprehensive plan does designate the property for office use. The four actions that they are requesting this evening from the village board relate to an amendment to the comprehensive plan that would reclassify the property from the office use to an institutional use. They are seeking approval of a preliminary plat of subdivision to consolidate the 7 parcels into one lot. They are also seeking rezoning of the property from the OT office district to the institutional district. And lastly, they're seeking approval of a planned unit development to allow for the 25-unit permanent supportive housing facility to be constructed. Previous proposals that this board considered did include requests for zoning relief. Those requests have been removed and they are no longer seeking any variations for the property. These are 2 aerial images of the property. I think most of you are probably familiar with it, but to help you orient yourself, the image on the left, all of those parcels in red are the subject property. The image on the right, the subject property is bounded by that red dotted line, and the area that you see highlighted in red is actually the cross-access easement that is in place to provide access to the property to the south. These are excerpts from our zoning map and our comprehensive plan that illustrate the current zoning as office and the comprehensive plan designation as office only. And then, as Manager Recklouse mentioned, this has been a very robust public review process. There have been a number of public meetings that have occurred, 13 public meetings in total, including this evening. 11 of those meetings were conducted by the village, and 2 were conducted by Full Circle as part of their community outreach. The purpose, of course, of the public meetings is to review the proposal, to seek public input, and to provide feedback to Full Circle for them to integrate into their design process. The last time this project was before the village board was August 19th of 2024. And at that time, as Manager Recklouse indicated, the village board considered the feedback that had been gathered to date on the project and generally expressed their support for the project, but did request that Full Circle revise the three-story plan based on the feedback that had been received from residents and really pushed that they consider a two-story plan and bring that forward for review by the Design Commission. So Full Circle gave a pretty nice summary of the changes to the plan and what hasn't changed. This is another summary for you to review. Since that meeting on August 19th, they have submitted revised plans that were reviewed by the Design Commission. It does continue to include the 25 units of permanent supportive housing. As they mentioned, the building orientation remains facing Arlington Heights Road. The parking remains to the west and the north, and the facade materials and colors are very similar to what we saw with the three-story concept. What they have modified in response to the feedback received is they have reduced the height of the building, and that, of course, required lengthening the building, as they indicated. The parking lot configuration has been slightly modified to improve access to the loading zone and to improve cross-access to the site to the north. That was done at staff's request. They have staggered the facade to increase some dimension and variability. They reviewed that with you earlier, and we'll look at that again. And then, as a result, the building does appear more residential in scale. This is just a nice comparison. I'm going to go quickly through these slides to show you the different proposals that the board has considered. This was the proposal that was first presented to the village board at the December 2023 meeting, the three-story building where the building was actually facing the single-family residential and the parking was located to the east and south. In August, the revised proposal shifted that parking to the west of the building, fronting Arlington Heights Road. But while this responded to some of the concerns that staff, the public, and the village board had raised, there were still some concerns with regard to this three-story design. And as a result, we have this two-story design that's before you this evening. This is, again, the previous site plan that the Plan Commission considered in July of 2024 and the village board on that August date. Just to give you some points of reference, the building length on the three-story plan was 167 feet, almost 168, and the building height was 41 feet. This is not to the midpoint of the roof line as they showed you. This is to the top of the building, so the top roof line. The concerns that were expressed by the board, by the public, and by staff on this related to this three-story design included, of course, the building height. There were some conflicts between the parking and the loading zone area. You can see that in the rectangular portion there, the loading area, and you've got parking stalls where cars would back into the loading area, so you may have some conflict there. And then there were some parking and access conflict to the north. You can see there's this kind of truncated parking lot, and eventually that would be extended to the north, and you would have cars backing out into that drive aisle. So they were asked to redesign the project and address some of these concerns. This plan that they also showed you earlier shows how they have addressed those concerns. The building length has increased, of course, to 235 feet, so it's 67 feet longer than the prior building. The building height has decreased. This is to the top of the building, not to the midpoint roof line that they shared. So to the top of the building, it's 31 feet 5 inches, which is 10 feet shorter than the prior proposal. And the rear yard setback is reduced slightly at the southeast corner. That's just because of how the building had to shift slightly on the site, and because they added that interesting dimensional by staggering the buildings. So on the southeast corner, the setback has decreased by about 6.5 feet. It's actually increased slightly at the northeast corner of the site by, I think, about 1.5 feet there. They did address the concerns that were raised with the three-story proposal, so that loading zone conflict has been resolved. You'll see the parking that was located to the north that was backing into the loading zone is now gone. They did improve that access by kind of stubbing it out at the north end of the property, so that provides for a very natural access to the property to the north once that is ultimately developed. And then just with the building redesign, just wanted to note that the raised planting beds that they were providing as an amenity to the residents were previously located to the south of the building, and those have been moved to the east side of the building. These are two pictures you've already seen, so I won't belabor these. This was the three-story concept, and this is the two-story concept. Just wanted to reinforce what Full Circle shared with regard to the redesign of the building. I think staff feels that this redesign really has made the project more residential in scale. The building facade is staggered, as they mentioned, so it does create more visual interest and depth to the building. It feels less commercial, and it feels much more residential when you look at the scale and the design of the building. They have increased the overhangs of the roof line. As they mentioned, the brick has a greater proportion of the facade. They've adjusted some of the colors of the building to create more visual depth as well. Overall, I think the fact that the board pushed them to redesign this project as a two-story project has resulted in a building that is more harmonious with the surrounding area. So with regard to this evening, just wanted to highlight something to consider related to the voting. Because there was a protest petition that was that was filed by the adjacent property owners, it does trigger a supermajority vote of the village board. So there will need to be 6 votes in favor of the 4 requested zoning actions this evening in order for them to pass. And the motions are in front of the board for consideration, but I do have them up here as well, and I'm going to go through them quickly, so I apologize for the audience who might be trying to read them. The first motion is to approve an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan to redesignate the long-term land use for the property as institutional. The second motion is to approve that preliminary plat of subdivision to consolidate the 7 lots into a singular lot. Would require that they come back to the board with a final plat of subdivision at a later date. The third motion is with regard to rezoning the property to the institutional district, and thus it would match the changed comprehensive plan designation. And then the last motion is approving that planned unit development request, and it is subject to 14 conditions. I will not go through all of those, but if you can speed read, you can see them all right up here. All right, so any questions for staff?
Well, thank you, Ms. Rodman, for the very good summary of where we're at this evening and how this project has changed and evolved as a result of a lot of input from a lot of different people, including this board, the residents in the neighborhood, and many others. And so we very much appreciate the participation of everyone involved in getting us to this point. It's been a long time that we've been working on this together, and I think we've come to a point where many, I'm sure not all, of the concerns of the neighborhood have been addressed. I think enough of the concerns have been addressed that I'm still comfortable with supporting this 2-story modified proposal. And I think it's, as Ms. Rodman indicated, I think it is a very attractive, more residential feel-looking building. And so it is, again, something that I can fully support. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board for further questions or comments. Trustee Schwingbeck.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have some comments to make. As we said, this was a very long process. Certainly I had an opportunity to go out and sit with the neighbors that were right in the backyard, and I certainly appreciated that meeting and listening to your concerns. We got a lot of emails in from residents that were in favor and also against the project. And when I look at this project, this land has been sitting there for a very, very long period of time. I wouldn't say the landscaping there is beautiful, and I think what we're seeing in this project is something that's going to really make the neighborhood a little bit more attractive. I look at this project, and I was certainly the one back when we last looked at this to put a motion on the floor to knock this down from a 3-story to a 2-story concept. Again, because I was listening to the neighborhood and really trying to take it to heart and do what was in the best interest of the project, but also what was in the best interest of the neighbors that were affected by it. I think we seriously need independent living like this. I think the folks that are going to have the opportunity to live in this building, people with disabilities, and certainly, hopefully, an emphasis on veterans are going to be able to really try and live a much better productive life. So I've been in favor of this project, even when it was a 3-story building, but through a lot of listening and talking to the neighbors, I'm really happy that that you were able to make this work and knock it down to a smaller project. And I'm very much in favor of it, and I appreciate the hard work that the developers have done, and I do really appreciate all the comments, questions, and dialogue that we've had with the neighbors and people that are in favor of this project. So that's all I have.
Trustee Lebeds.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all the hard work that's been done on this project. I was in favor of the 3-story building. I'm in favor of this 2-story building, but I'm really glad that we pushed back and asked for this redesign. And I think it looks much better. It fits in much better. And many of you were here when we discussed the Eastman project, which was a multi-story building on Eastman behind my house, to be specific. And there was pushback on that. And when the developer went back and did some redesign, made some changes, it also came back as a much better project. And this time it definitely came back as a much better project. I like the 2-story aspect of it. I think it's going to fit in better along Arlington Heights Road. I like the bump out effects, so that in a sense it almost makes it look a little bit more like, to me, more like townhomes kind of look than just a flat apartment building situation. So thank you. I'm definitely in support of this, and I do appreciate the hard work that was done, including from all the residents in the neighborhood, and for reaching out to us. And I, too, had opportunities to speak to people, and I appreciate what the staff has done and the design commission. So here we are, and I'm very much in favor of this. Thank you.
Trustee Shirley.
Thank you for the summary from the staff. So I'm still opposed to this project. I'll be voting no tonight, which is probably no surprise to anyone. But I just wanted to point out a few things, and my opposition is not that I oppose this type of use or this type of housing being provided in Arlington Heights. It's solely about this location, and I just don't think it belongs at that location. I think it's not the right use at the right location. But what I heard tonight, to me, seems like a little bit of revisionist history, because I heard people saying that Full Circle listened to the neighborhoods and made all these changes willingly. They did not make any of these changes willingly. At the first juncture, this, if not for a challenge flag thrown by the Plan Commission, this development would have been approved with the thing facing the wrong direction, so all the parking and all the activity was against the single-family neighborhood, and it would have been 3 stories tall. Thankfully for that, we had to have three no votes denied the project at that point, and then, and only then, did Full Circle turn the building around and have it face Arlington Heights Road like it should have in the beginning. But they still maintained that they could not build anything except a 3-story building, that a 2-story building would not work. Can't do it, not feasible, can't make the money work, can't get the funding, can't do anything. No, 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 cannot do it. And then, and only when they faced another denial of that approval, did they then suddenly come forward and say, you know what, we can make it 2 stories and we can get the same number of units in the building. Well, lo and behold, here we are. So I know this is going to be approved tonight, but I just think it's lousy the way this whole thing went down. And I think Full Circle, you're going to be a terrible neighbor if you treat these people the way you did during this process. I hope you turn that around, because this was despicable. And people on some of these commissions were demonizing and disparaging some of our residents because they opposed this project, because they didn't want a use that requires a zoning change for the intensity of it next to a single-family neighborhoods. That's all this is about. It's not about not liking people that are with disabilities. It's not like, disliking people who need this kind of housing. It's not what it's about. So again, I'll be voting no. I don't want to belabor it anymore, but I just think, people need to understand what went down here. If not for the Plan Commission, this would have been approved with all the wrong features. And I do appreciate the changes that were made. These are improvements. I'm going to acknowledge that. It looks better. It's going to fit better. It's definitely facing the right direction, so we don't have all the parking activity and everything else on the backside of the building. But I just want people to understand how we got here, because it kind of got lost in the summaries that I heard tonight. So thanks. That's all I have.
Trustee Tenalia.
Thanks, Mary Hayes. We've all been through this together, and I understand everything that has been said so far by Trustee Schwingbeck and Trustee Lebeds and Trustee Shirley, and I can't deny they're all right. All of those perspectives are correct. I remember an awful lot of dialogue in certain directions, and then things switching and things changing. And I remember the struggle. And it was, if not for certain struggles happening, maybe we wouldn't be in this better place, as you pointed out. And so thank all of those participants for making this happen, because it is better. It certainly is. When I first reviewed this, I had 3 issues. And as many of you know, I've been a supporter for every single project like this that has happened in our community in the past. And they've all turned out wonderfully. So I wanted to be a supporter of this project. I really did. But I couldn't the way it was. And my requirements were flip that building and face it towards the road as it should. Get the parking out of the people's backyards and put it towards the road. Lower the building from 3 stories to 2. And some of you in this room met with me several times to hear that story. And it took several times to break through. And if not for this process, if not for the tenacity of some of the people involved on this, maybe those things wouldn't have happened. So I submit to you that this is the process that's supposed to be. This is how things work. This is how we work together to make better things happen. And I'm really happy to be sitting in this chair, to be thankful for all of you supporters of this and all of those others who maybe are not, but maybe are going to be happier with the result. Because I'm going to be voting in favor of this because of those 3 changes that happened. There's one that I'd like to see still happen. And it's not going to make a difference on my vote. I'm going to vote in favor of this. But I know, and Randy, maybe you can answer this, or Emily, there's no variations required on this tonight, right?
Correct.
But they're putting an awful lot of parking stalls on this property as if it were a market rate apartment complex. Am I correct?
Correct.
But it's not. Is the petitioner, Ms. Reyes, can you answer a question for me or someone? How many folks in this facility will be driving a car? What's the percentage of the 25 units? What would you say?
Just give us your name again, please.
Joshua Wilmoth, President and CEO of Full Circle Communities. Our analysis of our own portfolio indicates that about 30% of the residents would have cars, so that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 7.5 to 10. Obviously, no half cars, so 8 to 10 cars for residents.
And how many stalls are you showing on the property to
51.
get it approved? How many?
51.
51. So more than 5 times the number of stalls that you really, would you agree that it's maybe 5 times the number that you really need?
I absolutely would, and I would submit that if the village wanted to have different parking standards for affordable housing, we would welcome that, but.
Well, so what I'm going to suggest that we do tonight is approve this to help it get through as is. But I'd like you guys to consider coming back when it's appropriate for you for a re-review of just that component, to have it land banked so that we all can see where those stalls would go, so that 30 years from now, if that building were to ever be sold and become a market rate building and everybody drives, here's where these other 40 stalls go, or whatever the number is. And my point is, it's too much asphalt, it's too much plowing, it's too much water drainage issues that you don't need to be dealing with. And why not have more grass and more landscape if you can, and less asphalt? So I bring that up tonight because I want to encourage that conversation to happen in the future before all the asphalt comes in.
Absolutely appreciate and happy to work with staff on that.
So that's my only real comment on this, other than what I said before. Let me go over my notes really quick here. Trustee Schwingbeck brought up a really good point earlier. Randy or Emily, how long has this property been sitting there zoned OT? Does anybody know? Has it been like forever?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, you know, in zoning terms forever. You know, it's been, I think since at least, I believe the 90s, I think we were talking about when this was vacant.
Well, I can tell you that in my younger years as an architect starting out, I drew several office projects for different people who own that property, and none of them were built for various reasons. It was just never a market for it in that area. It didn't work. And this is something that's needed. And I know that this will be a good home for 25 individuals. And I just hope that this ownership, I hope that this team does exactly what Trustee Shirley says and becomes really, really, really excellent neighbors for all of the folks that live right nearby. Prove everyone wrong. Prove those naysayers wrong. Like we suggested to the boys up at on Ivy Lane. What was the name of that there for? Shelter Inc. There was an awful lot of fear. Arlen remembers that. And we told them, you know what? Prove the neighbors wrong. And I think they did. I think they really did. So that's all I had. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Other questions for Trustee Bertucci?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I was one of the ones with Trustee Shirley and Trustee Tenalia that wanted to see changes. And one of the things in particular was the turnaround, and then also the height. Not only the concerns for the neighbor, but if you drive Gulf Road to Central, on that east side, there is only 1- and 2-story buildings. There is no 3. So, long story short, to come to the present and the future, I do appreciate what was done with the changes. Yeah, it was a shame that we had to kind of push it to be done, but it did. But you guys did do it, so we appreciate that. I do have some questions, and the questions that I have are for staff maybe and or those who are proposing the development. So whoever may want to be the representative, and I can't remember your last name, but I heard you say your first name was Joshua. So it may be you or you may be your architect. So Randy, the ordinance approving the planned unit development, I'm going to just go to a couple of areas there, but I first want to preclude this with if there is something that that isn't being kept up or their end of the bargain in this ordinance, what happens? What do we have where we could step in and say, hey, this ordinance required a certain things be performed on the way you select residents, the way you run the place, so to speak. So if they're not doing that based on this ordinance, what remedies does the village have?
So when there's we note a violation of zoning, the first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a notice of violation that's going to go to the property owner indicating that you're in violation of your PUD, your zoning, whatever the case may be. If there's usually there's a deadline given to come into compliance. If they don't come into compliance, then they will be given a ticket through administrative adjudication. At that time, the adjudicator may levy fines until such time as the situation is addressed. In other cases, we can revoke a business license. In this particular case, there's not a business license issued. So the fines would be the thing that would do. And they could, and we've done these before, done fines on a regular basis till they become quite punitive, till the individual or the entity comes into compliance.
Okay, okay, great, thank you, Randy. Now, the next questions could be for either staff and/or those doing the development. So under, well, actually, maybe we can get some representatives up there because it's really going to be addressed more to them. But under the tenant selection, I have some questions in reference to that. And under that tenant selection plan on page 5, it talks about, and I just want to I want to see just for the record, so that it's on the record, because I'm in these questions. You says you have here the maximum occupancy, no more than 2 occupants may reside in the bedroom on the property, in any bedroom. So, and what are your units mostly, 1 or 2 bedrooms?
There's 22 ones, 21s and 5 twos.
And 5 twos. Okay, and so you realize and you know that in only 2 occupants may reside in any.
That is our standard, correct.
Okay, okay. And then from a staffing standpoint, the owner must provide the following on-site staffing. No less than 1 site manager must be present from 9 to 5, Mondays through Friday.
I would look to staff. We actually had some negotiated language here. We have a full-time property manager who will be on site. We've indicated that we and our future residents would probably prefer the flexibility to have potentially later evening hours or coming in on a Saturday as part of our property management program. So we will have a full-time staff person. The last version of the ordinance, the version that we see, does say that 9 to 5. We had requested that be amended to full-time employee, but with hours to be determined once they're on site with the residents.
Okay, and where's the village on that, Randy? Where does our
That's
interpretation?
acceptable to staff. It just didn't get into this version, but if that's amenable to the board, staff is amenable to that change.
Okay, and how are we defining full-time? How many hours?
That would be more than 35 hours per week.
Okay.
So 9 to 5 with a half an hour lunch break would
Oh,
be a 35-hour week.
okay. And so that's
Or
how
1 hour
you're
lunch
defining. So what you're saying is maybe the hours may not be
Correct.
specifically 9 to 5, but they will.
It might be 9 to 5 Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, with 11 to 7 on Wednesdays and Saturday full-time hours.
Okay. Now, will those hours be posted and understandable to the residents, or is it like going to be, is your expectation that 1 week we're going to do this, the next week?
They will be posted and residents will be aware of the office hours of the
Okay.
site staff.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. I'm glad I asked that question. Maintenance staff. Tell me about the maintenance staff and how often and when you will have maintenance available.
So we have several maintenance staff in the area. The maintenance staff will serve multiple buildings, but are expected to be on site at least 20 hours per week.
Okay. Okay. And then what about caseworkers and service providers?
So Full Circle is partnering with organizations who will have full-time case managers on site. We anticipate that there will be 2 full-time case managers on site in coordination with Full Circle. Residents will also probably come with their own case managers who will be on site meeting with residents as time permits or as their needs require. And then we have also asked again for the staff to clarify that some of the case management services may be telehealth or similar things. And so we are also asking for the ability to do off-site services in addition to on-site services.
Okay, so what is the difference between caseworkers and service providers? Because this is saying that caseworkers and service providers must be available to provide services to residents not less than 40 hours a week.
That's correct. And I'm speaking interchangeable. Our service provider is the organization who hires the case managers.
Got it. Got it. Okay. the owner must, you understand that you must provide a written report to the village on an annual basis?
I do.
Okay, okay. Let me just, I have some other questions. Okay, going to the, and I assume that this is the selection policy and document, and I understand that the word draft is written across that, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the rejection criteria. And it says applicants who fall into the following categories will be rejected, and there's a whole section on that. And then it talks about applicants who fall into the following category may be rejected. Okay, and so, for example, it says, and this comes to me through the residents are the ones that are concerned, and that's why I bring it up. It says under may and not will be rejected is criminal convictions that involve physical violence to persons or property or endangered the health and safety of the persons within the last 10 years. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, and as we have indicated at prior meetings, we are, like all landlords, we are subject to the Just Housing Ordinance in Cook County, which means that we cannot have blanket rejections for criminal history.
Okay.
It means that we have to follow the county law, which stipulates that each individual with a criminal background must be individually assessed. And then once we make that assessment, then we notify them whether they have been accepted for housing or not.
Okay, so.
So we are not allowed to write that that they will get a rejection letter or we be in violation of Cook County law or Cook County ordinance.
So it has to be subjective to.
It has to be individualized for each applicant household.
Got it, okay. Now, just the one thing, and I don't know if this is staff, but Randy, I'm just a little confused on the perpetuity clause that says that we, and I'm going to try to see if I can find it here, but where it talks, because Trustee Tenalia was mentioning, well, if they ever sell the building, if they ever sell the building, does that building still have to be used in the same manner?
If they sell the building, does it have to be used in the same manner?
There's a.
What section are you looking at, Trustee
See if
Bertucci?
I can find it here.
Go ahead, Mr. Passman.
It's page 4 of the ordinance, and item number C4, Hart. It says affordable units, and it says must be restricted so they remain in perpetuity as affordable housing units.
Yeah, I would say that under this ordinance, if adopted, the owner or their successors must operate the development as a restricted affordable property for individuals with disabilities. Similarly, on the following page, page 5, there's a tenant selection plan, and the document subparagraph D1 requires operation in compliance with the tenant selection plan. So those would carry forward. And any owner of this property, either the current applicant or a successor, that is in violation of that would be in violation of the ordinance and subject to the enforcement procedures that the manager laid forth.
Okay. So if the use of could the use of the use of the building, could it ever change, or does it always have to be affordable housing?
Not without the approval of this board as an amendment to this zoning. If this is adopted, then this would have to be amended by legislative action to this board in order to allow a different use.
Got it. But that can be done.
Yes, it could be done.
Okay. Great. Okay, that's all the questions I have, Mayor. I'm going to hold off on how I may or may not vote until I hear the comments from the audience.
Okay. Trustee Dennington.
Thank you, Mayor. I do continue to be in support of this project. I just had a question about the landscaping plan that we received. In the northeast corner of the property, it looks like the fence does not go all the way to the back of the property. And I noticed that in the ordinance of the PUD, it sounds like the owner and the village are going to work together as to exactly where the fence will be. And so I just was looking for some clarification about where the fence will be and kind of how the property will be managed in that northeast corner. If it's going to be grass back there or stone, or what that's going to look like.
I could say, it's certainly from the perspective of the ordinance, you're right, that the location, the specific location is called out in the ordinance, something that will be worked out. And that same provision does require the fence to be painted a neutral earth tone color. The applicant may have some further comments.
Therese Thompson with Cordigan Clark, we're the architects. Just to explain why the fence stops short of the far east, northeast end, that area is going to be, and correct me, I may not have the exact legal terminology corrected, but it's going to be an easement to the village for a future potential cul-de-sac, I think, or turnaround at the end of Emerson.
Okay.
And so we're not going to landscape an area that will ultimately be completely reworked. So,
Okay.
And the exact location is TBD. So
Okay.
it's just some approximately in that area that we're showing it currently.
Okay. So will that area be maintained though by Full Circle? Okay. So it just won't be overgrown?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you.
All right, anything else?
I think,
Okay, well, from you.
no, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have two comments to kind of direct through you. The first is parliamentary, and I guess I just really want to mention how important process is in everything we do, how important the process has been through figuring out what's best for this property and the village, the neighbors, all parties. But from the parliamentary process, I'm a believer that to stay silent is complicit, and I just want to speak to the proper way things are to be done, in my understanding. Comments must be germane to the motion, and any particular criticism of parties involved is unacceptable, according to my understanding of parliamentary process. And I just want to say any of that may have been done previously, I just want to say I disagree with. And then going forward to how this new project has been presented, I first want to say I thank everybody involved for the conversations, the concerns, the issues, for the process. It has been messy, it's been challenging and difficult, and sometimes that's how it works. And I think we've all felt this. And I just am so grateful for this process and how the messiness of it actually has worked. I do agree with some of the comments said last meeting and this meeting, just how something better has come from this process. And I think it took all of us as a community and a village working together through the messiness of it to find a way to compromise, to find a way where everybody unfortunately had to give up something, but it's turned into a better project. And so for that reason, for the increased need of affordable housing in our community, for the empty space that's been here, for the need for the neighbors to have something that they feel fits better in the community, I am in support of this.
All right, thank you, Trustee Grassi. Anything else from the board? All right, seeing none, I want to go to the audience. And again, you're just reminded of the 3-minute time limit, but I would also ask you to guide your comments based on the legislative history of where we've been and where we're at tonight, and the comments that you've heard from the board here this evening. I mean, I would hope that a lot of you have spoken on this issue before. I hope you're not going to come up and say the same thing you said last time, because kind of where things are headed. And, if you want to just come and say, I concur with the previous speaker, or if you want to forego your blue card, you can do that as well. But I'm not going to limit you once you come up, but I just hope your comments would be guided by kind of those preliminary thoughts, if you would. So with that, I'm going to call first on Hugh Brady and then Jean Wood.
Good evening, everybody, and my name is Hugh Brady, and I'm the co-president of the Housing Task Force, which is the community group that kind of brought this project to the point where it is. Just want to say at the August meeting, you asked the developer to make Full Circle to make some changes, and they made the changes, and so I hope you honor your previous commitment and support the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Next is Gene Wood, and then Gabriel Nagy.
Good evening, Mayor and the members of the Village Board. My name is Jean Wood, and I live at Luther Village at 1346 Village Drive. I'm a resident of the town of Arlington Heights and chairperson of the Faith and Action Committee of First United Methodist Church of Arlington Heights, otherwise known as FUMCA, a church with nearly 800 members. The purpose of our Faith and Action Committee is to advocate for justice, standing in solidarity with the marginalized. I spoke to you about the need for Grace Terrace the last time it was on the agenda. I will not, as the mayor said, reiterate those words tonight because you have them on record. As part of my involvement in the Faith and Action Committee at FUMCA, I'm also part of an area-wide social justice organization. One of these organizations is the Northwest Alliance for Housing Availability, otherwise called NAHA. There's a great need for affordable housing in the northwest suburbs, especially for veterans and others with disabilities. I know that members of Southminster Presbyterian Church, St. Simon's Episcopal Church, Church of the Incarnation, First Presbyterian Church, Our Savior Lutheran Church, St. John United Church of Christ, and Christian Church of Arlington Heights are all in favor of Grace Terrace, and many of these members are here tonight. For members of our community who are in desperate need of supportive housing, thank you for listening. I encourage your positive vote on this important agenda item before you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Wood. Next is Gabriel Nagy, and then Brian Harrison.
Good evening. My name is Gabriel Nagy. I waive my turn after listening to all of the trustees.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Next is Brian Harrison, and then Joyce Bieritz.
Good evening.
Brian.
Good evening, Mayor Hayes, trustees. Some people with disabilities and veterans do drive. I recommend to keep the 51 parking stalls. And in conclusion, I hope you or your loved ones are never in this situation, but at any time, you or your loved or anyone you know or care for could become disabled. So the easy answer is a yes vote. Low income housing or affordable housing is a right for disabled people and disabled veterans. And thank you.
All right, thanks, Brian. Next is Joyce Bieritz, and then John Geyer.
I'm Joyce Bieritz. I'm representative of FUMCA, what Jean was talking about. I don't have much to say except for I came to the meetings in the beginning, and now I'm at this one near the end, and I want to congratulate the residents of the area for, I know it's been painful, but I think that if this goes through, you're going to be patting yourselves on the back for being courageous, for allowing for people that aren't like you to live like you. And we can all probably think of someone in our family that's disabled in some way. I have mental illness. You would never know it. I mean, I don't think you would. Anyway, you can't judge a book by its cover. People need to have an opportunity to live and to be respected. And if they're not living the way they should, then they should go, and they probably would. So let's give a opportunity to all people that deserve it and need it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Spirits. Next is John Geyer, and then Martin Kloss.
Hello, this is John Geyer. I sincerely hope that when these people are living near each other, that they will begin to see that people are people and be able to be reasonable and not be fearing other people because they're different. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Geyer. Next is Martin Kloss, and then Patricia Crucius.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes and the Village Board for having me once again. First, I'll say I feel the Grace Terrace at 2 stories is a great compromise. And also, I feel the Grace Terrace residents will be great neighbors, great citizens, great consumers, and great job creators. And also, like Brian said about the parking spaces, I'm a proud resident of Hart's Place, and a lot of our parking spaces are used for home health aides and family members. So they do get put to use at times, and that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Martin. Next is Patricia Crucius, and then Bill Manganero.
Hi, I'm Patricia Cruzius of 204 North Patton, Arlington Heights. And I urge you all to vote in favor of it. And I think it's a beautiful project that's gotten better. And just knowing that anybody can be disabled at any time, like was said, I mean, it's wonderful to have supports in place to help people thrive. So this is a very needed project. Please vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Bill Manganero, and then Daniel Crucius.
Good evening, I'm Bill Manganero. I live a few blocks south on Bristol Lane. Want to start by saying, Ms. Rodman, welcome to Arlington Heights. I believe this is the first meeting that you've presented, and clearly something that people in the village care a lot about. Thank you, we're fortunate to have you here. I've heard tonight, and I'm going to try to keep to what's new, that Full Circle has responded to feedback, made significant changes, and will proceed with a project that will be more workable for the village, that will develop a property that was undevelopable with its current zoning, and will lead to a better result, I believe, for us all. Feedback can be difficult. It can take time. Change is always hard, and it helps to manage change when there's a vision of a better future state. And I think we've heard that through this process. And I appreciate that you closed with a statement that you want to be good neighbors. Sometimes I wish when the screen went down, the seal went up. I really appreciate our village motto. We're a city of good neighbors. Sometimes neighbors have disputes. Good neighbors work through the disputes, which I believe is what we've seen here. Good neighbors let bygones be bygones. I believe that we can do that as a village. I look forward to seeing this project progress. Thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Manganero. Next is Daniel Crucius, and then Lori Granawi.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, and village staff. My name is Daniel Cruzius, and I am at 204 North Patton Avenue. I'm a 28-year lifelong resident, and I am in support of this project as a person with a disability, and it means a lot to me, and I hope you do the right thing. And this also is a great way to show that Arlington Heights stands for caring about other people, and will move past our history of housing discrimination, and that we will choose to be inclusive, and that we will support veterans with disabilities and people with disabilities, and that that we will approve this project. And I know that this has led to numerous concerns, which I'm glad that Grace Terrace has listened to, and the concerns of the board and concerns of the neighbors. And while as a person with a disability, it was sometimes hard to hear some of these things, I forgive them as well. And I hope that they will be good neighbors when this project is approved. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Crusius. Next is Lori Granawi and then Christina Crusius.
Hello, Mayor and trustees. Thank you very much. I'm co-president of the Housing Task Force. I want to say I really appreciate your support thus far. I also appreciate the support of all the community that's here, the groups that we've come to work with, the veterans groups, the Disability Commission in Arlington Heights. Housing Task Force is focused on our circle of people, so it's been really great to see how many other groups are looking for housing as well that live right here in our community. It's been wonderful working with Full Circle and having this project come down to 2 stories and getting the support that we have. So just want to say thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is Christina Crusius and then Susie Piasecki.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes, Board of Trustees. I know you've seen me here before, so you probably already know that I support this project. It has been a long process, but I do think the what I've seen tonight does look good. As you may know, I have a number of connections to people with disabilities, both as a special education teacher, working in special education, people in my family, as well as myself. And I really see this as a positive step for our village and for the disability community. I hope you will vote yes. I know that when people with disabilities are given the supports they need, they can thrive. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Christina. We've run out of Crusiuses, so we're gonna move to Susie Piasecki.
It's like the Kardashians.
And then Arlen Gould.
Oh, wow. So we meet again. I think the PowerPoint said it was 13 meetings now. Today's the 13th meeting. Yeah, I can't believe it. So, so I'm Susie Piasecki. I'm a Mount Prospect resident, but I'm also a Housing Task Force board member. I live in Myers Place, the first permanent supportive housing building in the northwest suburbs. And let's see, so literally speaking, Full Circle Communities is building an apartment complex, but figuratively speaking, Full Circle Communities is building the foundation to create hope for people's lives, those who live with disabilities, to gain independence, stability, and a place to call home. And it's there's a shameful condition, as Martin Luther King Jr. once called it, that we have to confront. In the previous gatherings here at Village Hall regarding Grace Terrace, it's really a matter of the people. It's a matter of the heart, really, of acceptance, respect, and belonging, not of judgment, criticism, and discrimination, but in tribute, in honor of MLK Jr. from yesterday, in continued celebration in observance of him from the holiday yesterday, and in hopes that you'll support a yes vote if you're not certain yet for Grace Terrace tonight. I wanted to share with you my brief adaptation of his I Have a Dream speech with you. Just brief, little snippets here and there. So I didn't know what to write yesterday, so I thought, made the connection here. So I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the cross street of Arlington Heights Road and East Noyes Street, people with disabilities and neighboring people without disabilities will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that my disabled friends will one day live in a nation where they will be judged not by their limitations, diagnoses, or labels, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day in all of the northwest suburbs of Chicago, one day right here, people with disabilities will be able to join hands with people without disabilities and walk together as sisters and brothers, friendly neighbors in fellowship and celebrating diversity, living together in harmony. I have a dream today. I have a dream. Please vote yes.
All right, thank you, Susie. Next is Arlen Gould, and then Cleo Nikal.
Good evening. I want to also welcome Emily to the team. I also would like to be the first to wish you a happy spring, which, believe it or not, will be coming soon. Mayor, I want to thank you for your steady hand in guiding us through this process, which it has been a successful process, I believe. And finally, I want to say that we inadvertently moved to Arlington Heights over 30 years ago. It was only because one friend of mine's brother lived here. Frankly, I've been thankful ever since. I think it's a marvelous community. It makes me proud to be here, and I appreciate this board's hard work in reviewing this process, voting positively for it, and making this a community where everybody is welcome. Thank you very much.
Right. Thanks, Mr. Gould. Next is Cleo Nikal, and then Sue Lowellbach.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. I urge you to vote yes to accept Grace Terrace. I stand with my brothers and sisters at Southminster and Fumka, being from St. Simons. Let's be an open, welcome community. I do appreciate the way you work together, and I've seen part of the process, and I appreciate being a resident of Arlington Heights. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is Sue Lowellbach, and then Selena Micco.
Good evening. My name is Sue Lowellbach. I am coming to you from Chicago and Evanston because this is a big deal tonight. This is really exciting. I work at Connections for the Homeless. We serve 51 municipalities, including people from Arlington Heights. We have a homeless shelter. We help people with homelessness prevention. We have people who are stuck in our shelter because there isn't enough permanent supportive housing for them to move into. It is sort of like a unicorn when a development like this actually takes place. So we are really excited, and we are watching and waiting with bated breath, and we have for the last 3 years and through the 13 public meetings. So I want to congratulate you for having gotten it this far. We are very excited, very grateful for the hard work. We also see this as an example of one reason affordable housing is so expensive to create. And so we know of the good work that you're doing in Arlington Heights to create more affordable housing. And we urge you to reflect on your processes to see if there's anything that can be done as you move forward to make them more efficient, to reduce the costs, reduce the time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ms. Lowellbach. Next is Selena Micco, and then Linda Dustin.
Hello, I'm Selena Micco, living in 125 East Emerson Street in Arlington Heights, just next to proposed building. And yes, I'm yes for everybody who is saying yes for this kind of projects. And we are not against, because all those people who were talking here minutes ago, they were telling you guys that we need this kind of projects. And I say, yes, of course, we need this kind of projects. And I'm not against this kind of the projects. I'm just against very strongly about this project in this place. I'm just next to it, and I know, I understand, this decision, it's gonna help some people, but it's gonna destroy my kind of living for 36 years in this place. I'm there, and I wanna stay there. But you are not let me. You guys, you are not gonna let me stay there because of building this monster building next to my house where I am living for 36 years. So you are talking about, yes, this kind of project, we need them. I can show you my checks when I was sending to helping veterans. I have them for years. I'm not against projects like that, but I'm strongly against building this next to my house where I'm living. And those terrible fence, what was shown on these pictures, this white around, you are gonna close me like in the cage. This is not acceptable. For years I have a green around, and this terrible white fence, what you show on those pictures, it's like you are closing me in the cage. It's no, no, no. Thank you guys for hard work.
Well, thanks, Ms. Micko, for coming tonight. And all I can say is that, as has been indicated here this evening, that this development is going to work hard to be a good neighbor to you especially, and to all those who are definitely in the immediate area. And we're going to do all we can to help in that regard as well. So next is
Linda Dustin.
Linda Dustin, and then we've got Karina Santamaria.
First of all, I'd like to just say that I think it has been from day one since this project was presented, like 2 years ago, coming up in May, that our neighbors, our neighborhood, never was against the idea of what this project is. We support housing, affordable housing for disabled, for veterans, whatever. Our biggest thing is obviously location. We've always said it's the wrong spot. I'm sorry that I was a little bit late for the meeting, and I don't know what the presentation was exactly, but the last planning committee meeting that I observed, the presentation showed, you know, the two-story and how it was going to look. I hope everybody realizes that the grading from where the bottom of this building will be is already 12 feet higher than my neighbor's backyard. So technically, you're building 2 stories, but realistically, that is going to look 3 stories above our beautiful houses. That, again, is going to be an eyesore as you look at it from the east to the west, or as you're driving down Northwest Highway, Arlington Heights Road. The final thing that I'm kind of baffled about is how many people are able to speak for this project when they don't even live there. They maybe don't even live in Arlington Heights, and they're trying to sway you to vote for this, project. They don't live in the neighborhood. They don't live in Arlington Heights, and yet, they are here speaking again. I've lived here for 40-something years, and, support things that I'm proud to live in Arlington Heights. But this is going to be so sad for our area. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Next is Karina Santamaria, and then Matthew P.
Hi, good evening, Village Board of Trustees and Mayor Hayes. I would like to take a moment to sincerely thank you for your time and effort in listening to the discussions surrounding Grace Terrace project. Your commitment to considering the diverse perspectives of our community is deeply appreciated, and I recognize the challenges that come with making these decisions because they impact the lives of so many. I must also express my concern regarding what I considered unprofessional comments suggesting that Full Circle would be lousy neighbors. I sat in that chair, and I know what it's like to have to advocate for people who need housing in Arlington Heights. The mission of Full Circle, and everybody who sits in that chair, is to, and always will be, serve our community with compassion, dedication, and a spirit of collaboration. We all strive to be good neighbors by providing critical services that uplift individuals and families, fostering a stronger, more inclusive community for all. Constructive dialogue and mutual respect are vital as we work together and address the needs of our village. I'm hopeful that moving forward, we can engage in conversations that reflect the values of civility, understanding, and partnership that make Arlington Heights a place we are all proud to call home. Thank you again for your service, and I hope that you vote yes.
All right, thanks, Karina. Next is Matthew P. Matthew, still here? And Matthew, you're gonna have to give us your last name. Okay. Did you get that, Becky? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen of the village board, I'm coming here not as just a concerned resident of Arlington Heights, but a speaker for most of the community near this proposed project. Another issue that hasn't been addressed was the possible traffic issues associated with this building. Arlington Heights Road is already a vital artery for emergency services with a fire department only a street away, and on top of that, a maintenance yard where trucks frequently leave loaded with salt during the winter to keep our roads safe. And adding a 25-unit building with 51 parking spaces will only increase the traffic flow on this already busy road. And are we really truly prepared to handle the safety risks, especially with the every second counts for emergency vehicles? And then there's safety. What happens to kids walking home from school or the seniors crossing the street as traffic and congestion increase, especially with the senior living home right next to this building? These aren't just concerns, they're real risks that we'd be just openly inviting into our neighborhood. And the financial implications. Nearby properties like the Voland of Arlington Heights paid a total of $245,581 in property taxes last year. And then the office right next to this, 1415 South Arlington Heights Road, contributed $100,000 and $125,000. And I know we stated that this property hasn't been sold in years, but we can change that. Change whatever is wrong with the property that people do not want it, and we change it, we can build something that the community actually wants and get more than the $50,000 cap that Full Circle will actually pay. And I'm also concerned about the impact on property values. I know that has been stated countless of times, but it's my sister, as she works in real estate, she has seen these exact developments and how whenever they don't fit in that character of the area, it leads to just drops of property value. It's just common sense. And we've built these homes. We've built our lives around them, created memories, and invested our future into them. And don't get me wrong, I'm with everyone else that's no. I'm not against helping others, that I applaud the mission of providing those housing that need it, but there's a right way to do it. It's not in this location, and it's just not the answer. So I ask you, do we really want to take these risks? Are we able to compromise the safety of our roads, the integrity of our neighborhoods, and the value of our homes? We can do better, we deserve better, and I urge you to vote no tonight. Thank you, and God bless America.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Matthew was the last blue card I had, so is there anyone else in the audience? Please come forward.
I'm Mayur Shah from Haven Street, which is just 1 block away from this location. On the topic of veterans being prioritized to live at the proposed Grace Terrace, we all witnessed a 180-degree shift from the petitioner claiming to have the most control a year ago to finally admitting at the August 19th meeting for having no control or little control. Our multiple FOIAs on the similar properties demonstrated some existing tenants with extensive criminal backgrounds. Due to the loopholes in the vetting process, they are the threat to the law-abiding tenants with disabilities and the community at large. Sadly, this simple message from us has been lost. Let us remember that we are borrowing the city from our future generations, as they would inherit the consequences and question the decisions we make today. A personal story. This past summer, I followed up with a Chicago police officer who did not criminally charge a vehicle owner involved in a hit and run to my loved one walking on her walk signal. I was told that my loved one's incident was one of the 100 hit and runs that happened in Chicago on that day. If you take a step back and think about this, the situation in Chicago and other US cities could not have developed overnight. As the crime over the years gradually went up, it was normalized, and the resources were reprioritized to look into the bigger crimes. In Arlington Heights, we have already been hearing more and more incidents like gunshots in the hotel, thefts in the parking lot, a person stabbing himself in the middle of an intersection. How is this different from a single-family home setting? You may ask. First, the risk gets dispersed over a large area of 25 homes, where instead of the 25 tenants being piled up in a single multi-family unit right next to us. And second, owning a home usually comes with a litmus test of having a good credit history and a motivation of maintaining that investment versus those who may have acquired a unit with little or no investment. So Mayor Hayes and the trustees, for a moment, put your political aspirations aside and consult your conscience. Think of the future generations. Don't let the beautiful city of Arlington Heights turn into another Chicago. With Arlington Heights already at more than double the affordable housing ask from the state, which is just 10%. We are more than 20. Vote no today or help reduce the density for the sake of the neighbors to have 12 units with 24/7 support. And the reason I ask that is because paramedics have told us people keep their doors open to let people come in and sleep for $20 a night. And this happens all the time in other properties. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shah. And let me just assure you that I have no political aspirations. So I have no other blue cards. Are there any other members of the audience? Mr. Zick.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, trustees. Thank you for your time. You know, I know this is a hard subject, and actually, I got to this past weekend speak with a lot of people in the area about their feelings, and I get their fears. And a lot of the fears that they have right now come from the unknown. And I get it. Whenever anything new and different is coming into an area, it's hard to understand exactly what's going on. I guess what I bring here right now is a couple years ago, I lived about 3 blocks away from another housing development that we put up there in Crescent Place, up the northern part of Arlington Heights. And there was a lot of the same unknown, and there was a lot of the same fears. I actually brought up the concern about traffic in the area. But what I can say is that development has been there now for, I think, at least a year. We have had 0 problems with the neighbors that are there. They've been very good. It actually took an area, a certain area that was kind of blighted, that particular corner, and made it look a lot better. We had trucks parking there, using it as a truck stop, and that was one thing that we don't have there anymore. So that helped from that standpoint. As far as home values go, the story I tell a lot of people is that the house right next to me, my wife and I thought it was going to sell for a certain price, and it wound up going for a lot more than that. It wound up going for more than the asking price. So it was actually the home values, and I've seen it in other homes within that 2 to 3 block radius. So it really hasn't affected it. So I know there's a fear of the unknown, and I totally get that, and I totally respect that. But all I'm offering is my particular experience, and I haven't, with a similar type of thing, and I haven't seen that happen. So we are a village of good neighbors, and we're trying to do the right thing here, and I appreciate that. And my personal opinion is to vote yes and keep it going. But thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment period. Mr. Ecklaus.
Yeah, one thing I was just going to mention, there's 4 motions before the board. The rezoning item does require the supermajority. The one thing I was going to say, based on the exchange with Trustee Bertucci and the folks from Full Circle, when we get to item D for the planned unit development, We do have a suggested amendment to that that can address that issue when we get to that item, but we would suggest taking these motions in order.
Right. All right, I'll come back to the board then. I know trustee Bertucci wanted to comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Randy, can you put up one of the pictures of the new,
The
the new
elevation?
building, no, not necessarily elevate, just the facade of the building, and there you go.
Agree.
Okay. So where we came from and where we're at now is really telling. And as much as, so I don't know if it was Trustee Grassi called it messy, and I would have to agree that it was messy at times. But again, I think at least this board, and I recognize, that there's concerns here and there, but all of us come from a place of doing what's best. I know I have both close family and close friends that are disabled, and so our intentions were good. But the idea that this needed to be changed, I think in some ways where I don't see as many residents here, I don't see their attorney here, speaks volumes. And one of the things is as I told one resident in that area, is I said, you should be very proud of where you've taken this. And I agreed with a lot of the stuff. I did agree that needed to be 2 stories because everything, like I keep mentioning, from Gulf Road to Central is 2 or 1 stories along that corridor. And I really like what I see here. So what I'm saying is that I am very appreciative of where the developer took this and listening. I'm proud also that the residents went to the extent that they did to push for that, this board, and I think the right thing to do at this point in time is to vote yes, and I will be voting yes. But Randy, I do, as I went through the ordinance and the contract and stuff, so I appreciate us making sure that if in fact there needs to be amendments or to be determined or whatever, that we do that properly, because I do want to watch over to make sure that that everybody keeps their commitments. We keep the commitments as the village, the developer keeps the commitment on what they've said that they're going to do and promised how they're going to run it, that there aren't going to be any backdoor deals of, here, you give me $20 and I'll let you spend the night. Because if we get wind of that, we've taken a lot of steps towards those motels, and we're taking a lot of steps in cleaning them up, and they have been cleaned up. Very proud of Randy and what he's done, and also the police chief. So I don't expect this to happen there, though. I really don't. But I'm glad that we do have our ordinances and we have protections in there for that. So I will be voting yes, Mayor.
All right, any other comments from the board before we go to motions? Trustee Dennington.
I just wanted to add that that Full Circle is a reputable developer of housing, and all of the members have received emails that show in support of that. We've received multiple letters of recommendation showing that. So I would be happy to start with the first motion.
Okay, please do.
Okay. I would move to approve an ordinance approving an amendment to the comprehensive plan for Full Circle communities for those certain properties, commonly known as 1519 to 1625 South Arlington Heights Road, from the office's only classification to the institutional classification.
Second.
Motion by trustee Dennington, second by trustee Lebeds. Any questions or comments from the board? Roll call.
Trustee Dennington?
Yes.
Trustee Lebeds?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee
With
Tenalia?
comment.
Yes.
Trustee Grassi?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
No.
President Hayes?
Yes. Did you have an additional comment?
Well, I just wanted to check with our attorney, and which one, Hart, were you talking about needed a,
That was D.
I think the fix that the manager has when we get to the fourth motion.
The fourth motion.
Which would be the approval of the plan development and the zoning relief.
got it, thank you.
Okay. All right, the first one is approved. Who would like to take the next one? Trustee Lebeds?
Thank you. I would move to approve resolution approving a preliminary plat of subdivision for Full Circle Communities, PC 23-007, to consolidate the property and reconfigure the lot lines to create a single lot of those certain properties commonly known as 1519 to 1625 South Arlington Heights Road, subject to the condition listed. Must I read the condition?
Yes.
That's sufficient if you intend the condition on the screen. That's sufficient.
I mean the condition on the screen.
That's understood. Thank you.
A motion by trustee Lebeds, second by trustee Grassi. Questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Lebeds?
Yes.
Trustee Grassi?
Yes.
Trustee Tenalia?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
No.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. Would like to take the third one? Trustee Lebeds?
I'll take a shorter one now. I move to approve an ordinance approving rezoning for Full Circle Communities, PC 23-007, for those certain properties commonly known as 1519 to 1625 South Arlington Heights Road from Office Transitional District to the I Institutional District.
Second?
Motion by trustee Lebeds, second by trustee Dunnington. Questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Lebeds?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Grassi?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
No.
Trustee Tenalia?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. Mr. Passman, you want to give us your guidance on the last one?
I'll leave it to the
Ms.
manager.
Rodman has a proposed amendment to section 3, paragraph D3A, related to the exchange with trustee Bertucci.
Correct. So in the motion that was provided at the dais, the conditions that are listed in the ordinance are also reflected in that motion. So the condition number 10 refers to section 3D3 in the ordinance. So condition 10 would read, the owner must provide the following staffing for the proposed development. So we're striking on-site. And then A would read, no less than one on-site full-time property manager must be present a minimum of 35 hours a week. Those
Right,
would be
do
the
we have a motion to approve that ordinance as amended?
I'll tackle that one.
Is that?
Yeah,
okay?
that'd be appropriate, Mayor, yeah.
Go ahead, trustee Schwingbeck.
So I would move to approve an ordinance approving a planned unit development for Full Circle Communities, address 1519 to 1625 South Arlington Heights Road, PC number 23007, subject to the 14 conditions as amended tonight with, I believe, 10A stating a full-time property manager with no less than 35 hours per week. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe that's sufficient. I believe it captures staff. recommendations.
And strike where it says the owner must provide the following on-site staffing, just staffing.
Right, understood.
All right, motion by trustee Schwingbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Lebeds. Questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Lebeds?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
No.
Trustee Grassi?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Tenalia?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. Well, that covers it, right, staff? Okay. All right, well, thank you all again for your participation in this process. You know, there's been a lot of comments from everyone this evening and in our prior meetings. I can just assure you that the village board has taken their job in this regard very seriously. And, you know, we factor in all information that we receive. Certainly, we give more weight to individuals who live in the village, but we also factor in input that we receive from other sources as well. But I can assure you that we've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and we factored in every piece of information that we've received from any source in making our decision. That's the way our decision-making process works. So thank you all for contributing to that process, which I think has achieved a good result. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We do have one other agenda item to discuss, but I'm going to let everybody leave before we get to that agenda item. So if you guys could vacate the room at this time, I'd appreciate it.
We're still in open meeting. We're not adjourned.
What's up, Josh?
All right, Susie, good to see you.
I just don't appreciate.
Thank you,
I
too.
just kind of don't appreciate, the fact that we got kind of yanked around the process. We could have gotten here very quickly.
Yeah,
That's what I'm all about.
But the presentation Thank you. No, congrats. Look forward to working with you. Pastor.
Definitely better. Bygones be bygones. Good luck to you. Take care.
You too. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay, if I could just ask everyone to leave the room as soon as possible. We do have some more agenda items to discuss.
Sure.
Hi. You're welcome. Take care.
Serving is not convenient.
We usually do consent items that are pulled right away. Sorry? Why didn't we do the consent items? I don't know.
Dr. Mato. Dr. Mato. Could you please leave? Thank you.
Really?
Yes. We've got some more work to do.
Not sure they heard you, Mayor.
All right, we have one item that was removed from the consent agenda. That was item G. And Mr. Ecklouse, why don't you address that item?
Sure. This is a change order, a balancing change order for 2023 downtown brick sidewalk replacement on Wing Street. This change had to be made due to work that had to be done to make the project ADA compliant. Generally speaking, to provide a little bit of background on this, the village board back, I think about 8 years ago, had a very lengthy discussion about what we're going to do long-term with our brick paver program, whether we were going to get rid of brick pavers, whether we were going to go with stamped concrete, whether we were going to do something altogether different. And after a number of site visits, looking at examples, looking at different cross-sections, the board decided to replace the existing brick as it failed with this new system that we've been implementing. And the thought is this is going to last a lot longer and wear a lot better. A lot of thought was gone into the quality of the brick, the quality of the base and so forth, that this was something that with proper maintenance would essentially last in perpetuity and would be, once established, relatively easy to maintain with existing staff versus having to go out. And so that's the overall program, but this relates to a change order. And so I don't know if
Trustee Grassi asked this to be removed, so.
I did, and
Trustee Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor, and I apologize for having you stay so long for this.
I got to see Emily present. So
And thank you for being here. I wanted to bring it up because I've heard from so many residents about the expense of the brick pavers and the replacement, and are we spending money right for this? And so it was for transparency's sake. So I'm sorry it made you stay longer. I'm grateful for your response to that. I just think it's important that our residents understand why we do what we do, and it's not just putting good money after bad things. It's a lot of research, a lot of information that's gathered to make sure we are still doing what is best and right for the community. And I really thank the staff for doing this. And again, I apologize for making you stay so long.
Since Mr. Paperniak had to stay, I'm sure he has other comments he can add.
The only thing I'd like to add is 10 years ago when we did look into this, there were a lot of competing interests for the downtown. At the time, there were 3 departments that looked into it with planning, engineering, and public works. Maintenance, longevity, ease of replacement, combining the sectioning the brick pavers for utility work. All that was considered because now we can come back, remove a section of it, do a repair on utility, and make it look like within a year you won't see it. So we had noticed a lot of problems with existing brick where different colors, different fascias made significant changes. When we did a repair, you'd see it for years. So this was a lot of work through the board, a lot of competing interests with Charles Perkins, making sure we kept that brick look. And like I said, we had a lot of convergence of a lot of opinions to get to that point.
Thank you.
Trustee Lebeds.
Thank you. Thank you. I've noticed though in some places that of cracked bricks even in new sections, and especially because I walk on it on a regular basis, as actually does Mayor Hayes, but maybe he doesn't look down because I'm always concerned I'm going to trip, and he doesn't. So along by the gas station, and I don't know if it has to do with the fact that those big trucks, the tanker trucks have to drive there and the weight of the tanker trucks cause some cracking, but I've seen that there, and that's one of the new areas. So I am concerned about the longevity of it, and like I said, that maybe that's particularly different kind of spot, but I mean, I'm practically a downtown resident, so I pay attention to the bricks.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're happy to take a look at that location. There may be, some uniqueness with that location, but if you have other suggestions, a place to look, we're always happy to take a look and see if something's wearing differently and if it needs to be addressed in some manner. But thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks. Sometimes I forget to mention it.
Trustee Tenali at first.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor Hayes. I think Trustee Lebeds and Mayor Hayes and I are the only 3 on this board that were here back when this was all proposed from Charles, and I think Trustee Shirley was on the receiving end of most of it because he was working in the village at the time. So it took a lot of time and a lot of energy to get that figured out. And what I think Trustee Lebeds is pointing out is there's a fine line between, aesthetics and functionality. And maybe there are some areas where we ought to relook at if there's too much traffic on it, whether like heavy traffic like that, maybe the aesthetics aren't as important as the functionality is there. And so have a look. Sorry you had to stay this long, but
not a problem.
It's a good discussion.
All right, Trustee Bertucci.
So in reference to, you're talking about the one on Vale? The
Yeah.
gas station? Okay. So it's kind of funny because the people who live in that Vale condo, it's like a joke there that they, especially the ones that face the gas station. The curbs there, maybe, I don't know if we can get rid of them, but many people who leave that gas station don't know where the driveway cutouts are and where the curb is. And they tell us, they say multiple times a night, people are hitting that curb or driving over that area. And some of them, because if their car sits slow or whatever, they get stuck. One poor girl lost her exhaust and had to have her father. But you got to talk to, I don't know if you know Dave Weiner and some of the other people who live in that building. They've got the best stories of people jumping that curb or not, as they come out of the gas station and that type of thing. So one of the things, I don't know if we can do it, Chris, or if it's possible, is, I don't know if it's us or the gas station, is look at possibly taking the curbs out or making the driveway cutouts bigger.
A couple things we follow. If it's on Vale, not a concern. It's something that can be addressed as long as it doesn't exceed a code, because the width is within code. If it's along 14, a lot of times.
No,
it's associated
this
with-
is the, when they leave an exit to Vail.
It's something we can look at.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, there's, I mean, you can go talk to the owner, I'm sure the owner knows it. But if you talk to the people who live on that side of the building, and for those who, Jennifer used to live in that, I mean, for those who know who and she was one of the ones that used to have some great stories about that, so I, again, like I say, that's probably what's happening there, Robin, is
That could
cars are
be.
driving over it, they're bottoming out on it, and,
But also the tanker trucks are pretty heavy.
well, that too, truly, 100%.
Mr. Ecklos.
Well, I'm very glad that Trustee Rossi
See?
brought this up. There's always things we can learn, and, you know, I know we've talked at times about a curbless street around Harmony Park. Maybe there's opportunities elsewhere in the downtown as well. But no, I very much appreciate the feedback and always share that kind of stuff with us. There's always tweaks that can be made and things that can be improved, and this may be a good candidate for that based on the feedback. Thank you.
Trustee Dennington.
Was there a time period that this project was supposed to end or be reevaluated or anything?
Do you want to talk about?
For the 2013, right now, we've already.
Not for the 2013, but just for the overall program.
Overall brick is continuous. We split the CIP, so we had maintenance for future sections as well as rehab every other year for larger sections. So this year, the board already approved for construction right around the Metro train station. And then that'll be continued with design
Ongoing.
and then inspection and ongoing.
we
We did about, I think when we look at the downtown, you have about 25,000 square feet. We've redone 6,000. So we've got a way to go.
There have been a couple of delays. There's been times when we've gotten grants that have been delayed, you know, and so that delayed the work. Other situations where, as we got into it, again, when you get into ADA considerations, and this is a pedestrian-heavy area, we want to make sure we get this right. That's added some, you know, redesign work, and so we're trying to do it right. We're trying to do it over time, so, you know, not necessarily trying to get it done by a deadline, and trying to do it within budget as well.
All right, anything else from the board? We need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make the motion since I pulled it off. I move to approve 4G resolution approving balancing change order number 2 for 2023 downtown brick sidewalk replacement, Wing Street.
Second.
Motion by trustee Grassi, second by trustee Tenalia.
Mayor,
Any,
if I may, just to clarify, and I think the board's aware of this, but the resolution was updated in your packet this morning, which clarified some of the language, no substantive changes, all consistent with discussion, but I want to make sure that you're aware of it. Just to clarify, we're approving a change order tonight.
okay.
Make sure-
Should I change what I motioned?
No,
or-
your motion is fine. I just want to clarify that for the record.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Grassi?
Yes.
Trustee Tenaya?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes?
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Lebeds?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. All right, any other business from the staff?
Nope,
Any report from the village manager?
nothing this evening.
Any, we've already had public comments. So,
I would move that we adjourn.
yeah, sounds good.
I do have one.
Uh-oh.
I know, I'm sorry. I do have one comment. I believe we all received an email from a resident, an older man, who just requested that we be good neighbors and consider shoveling our sidewalks during times of snow. And I think it's a good reminder. I'm grateful that they reach out and tell us these things. I wiped out last week walking on a sidewalk that was not shoveled, so it's dangerous and scary. So I just want to remind just all of us of the importance of just doing what we can to make sure everybody in our neighborhood is safe. And I am grateful that the resident emailed all of us about that.
Okay, anything else from the board? Who was the motion maker? Trustee Lebed?
I was, yes.
And who made the second? Trustee Schwingbeck? All those in favor of adjournment? Aye.
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 Thank you for joining us this evening.